Doesn't give me any problems today. How are y'all doing? How are y'all doing? Waiting right now for your boy Dwight to hop on here. I want this to be a magical live that we're doing right now. I'm very excited. Very excited. Wait here a minute. Boom. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? I'm still getting the echoes because this previous, I don't know what's going on with this phone, but you hear the same thing over and over and over again. Dwight, where you at, my man? Mel, nice to see you, bro. Let me reach out to him real quick, see if he's hopping on. So today we're going to talk a lot about shadow work. Just something that a lot of people don't ever talk about is shadow work. I think shadow work is extremely important. And we're going to talk about integrating the shadow because I think a lot of people don't realize that the shadow is what keeps you from hitting your actual goals in life. It is literally what is keeping you stuck at where you're currently at. The biggest thing you can do as a man is integrate your dark side. I've said this many times, but we're going to go into details of how you can actually integrate your dark side. The dark side is one of the strongest possible forces that you have as a man. That most men, they become nice guys because they keep that dark side locked away. And nice guys always just completely wild out over a certain period of time. So the whole process around this is essentially building out that dark side and using it for positive things in the world. Let's see, he's hopping on right now. There we go. Boom. Yeah, Brian, I'm telling you, the dark side stuff is going to get crazy. Dwight, you there? I can't hear you. Can you hear me? Ah, nothing. Try to hop back on, maybe it'll work. Or no, change the audio. Change the audio settings or something on there. Bro's Christmas sweater in October is crazy. I know. Yo, this I don't want to get cooked. So you already know I'm gonna always wear a black tank top. I have like 100 black tank tops. So it's crazy. Can y'all hear me by the way? Let me know if you can hear me. Let's see. Chat, can you tell me if you can hear me? Okay, great. My audio is good. Yeah, Dwight is here. Nothing. Ay, I know. It's technical difficulties, always technical difficulties. Check the settings on there. You should be able to be good. But yeah, fellas, the big thing that you guys have to understand with our conversation we're gonna have today is the whole dark side thing. I wish more men would do shadow work. And we're gonna talk about what shadow work is. We're gonna talk about what you can do. We're gonna talk about all of that. But you have to understand this whole art of shadow work. Now, if you want to go deeper into that, there's a book by Carl Jung, who coined the whole shadow work thing, you can start to learn what the shadow is. And here's the thing, every man has a certain archetype that he embodies the most. For example, and I say this in my own programs, in my own coaching that I do with people, there's the king archetype, there is the warrior archetype, there is the lover archetype, and there is the magician archetype. These are all literally legendary archetypes that men have embodied from the beginning of time. Within these archetypes, there are shadows. The shadows are basically the dark side of those archetypes. You have the
Bro,
there we
I,
go.
s- I switched phones. I was like, you know what? Let me get on the other phone. Let me see if that works, and it works. So
Is it because of the new iPhone? You tried the new iPhone?
it's the
Ah,
new
yeah,
one.
no.
The new one is terrible, bro.
I'm gonna
So
keep I'm gonna keep my what is it, 17? Is that 18?
17. Keep the old one.
16? I got the
Keep
16.
the,
I'm good.
keep the old one, bro. Do not upgrade. Do not update. Don't do nothing.
Nah.
Um. Oh, what's going on, bro? What's up?
Good, good. Welcome. I was
Yeah.
just telling them a little bit about the what we're going to be talking about with the shadow, and I
Yeah.
got into my side with the archetypes and whatnot, but
Yeah.
um yeah, we're going to talk a lot about shadow work and just shadows in general, because I think again a lot of men, they struggle with integrating the shadow into their
Sure.
entire masculine
Yeah.
persona,
Yeah.
and they end up losing out on business because they don't know how to activate it correctly.
Yeah.
They lose out on women because they don't know how to activate that side. They lose out on different relationships, everything. And
Yeah.
it's almost like I feel like most men are living, if they're at their peak on the light side, they're at 50%, even if they're
Okay.
going as hard as possible. And
Yeah.
all they need to do is integrate that shadow, and then they have 100%. So
1,000%.
we'll break that down. I'll leave it up to you to start, because I've been talking to them a little bit about my version of the shadow. I'll dive deeper into that as well. But yeah, give people a rundown of what your understanding of the shadow is, and like what people need to be doing, et cetera, et
Yeah.
cetera.
The shadow work is it's an essential thing that you have to do, right?
Mhm,
And in the beginning, I always tell folks that what you need to do is take your shadow, put it to the side for a second until you have a structure built enough to be able to handle it, right? So you hear self-help folk talk about you shouldn't follow your lust, you shouldn't be looking for power, you shouldn't be doing all of these things that are in your shadow, which is very true, but they tell you to stop right there. Not the case,
mhm,
right? You have to put your shadow down for 2 seconds to create a structure that's strong enough to withstand when you integrate it back, right? Because
mhm,
now, let's say it's lust, right? For many men, lust
mhm.
problems,
Big one.
perfectly fine, but you're supposed to, right? Like that's a part of who you are. So you can't necessarily put that in a corner and try to avoid it. Because then guess what happens? You sit there in your mind, in the back of your head, you're fantasizing about women that you can actively go outside and go get. But
Mhm,
you have to have a structure in which you operate to go get them so that you don't indulge and then start to lose progression as you go after your goals. So you have to create a structure that's strong enough to withstand when you integrate the shadow. So shadows are the parts of you that many of us try to hide away, sweep under the rug because they're not necessarily the most attractive things that people want to showcase. Because if you have lust problems, then what? Like, how do you tell everybody like I love women and I desire women and da da da? No,
mhm,
right? You have to be able to integrate it back into your life and do very well with women through charisma, but also holding your masculine frame enough so that you don't fall into the lust trap of over validating her and all of these other things that take you off of your path.
mhm,
So, yeah, we'll definitely go deep today into
mhm,
work and what shadows are, even because a lot of people, I think, don't even realize that they have shadows, and maybe they
right,
don't even realize that they're avoiding their
mhm,
shadows,
mhm,
right? When the shadows are the very power that you've been looking for, but
mhm,
it's because you don't know how to wield them because of the lack of structure that you have that make you kind of just live life in weakness or always leaking. So,
mhm.
yeah, that's kind of my version of my little brief description of what shadows are.
Good, good,
Yeah.
good, good. And yeah, man, I mean, the biggest thing people have to understand too is when you lock the shadow down, and when we talk about shadows, I know that sounds mythical. It's just like Dwight said, like parts of you that you don't want to show to other people, you may be embarrassed about, you may have some shame around.
Mhm.
The interesting part is I think the shadow is the most attractive part to a man with when it
Yep.
comes to women because one, it's like the primal urges that you naturally have that are only considered shadows because of today's society that we live in
Right.
that demonize it. I think lust is
Right.
actually not a negative thing if it's transmuted in a positive way. So I always
Mhm.
tell people it's like, and I'll break down some of my structures of what shadows are, and you can break down yours as well. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing is all of those shadows are looking for a way to be able to manifest themselves in real life, in your
Yep.
life.
Yep.
If you hold them back, they will literally destroy you
Yep.
because it's almost like you're training this dog. You have this dog, you put it on a leash. And a
Mhm.
lot of men try to keep the dog in the house.
Yep.
You keep a dog that's untrained in the house, it's going to destroy the house and then it's going to go destroy everything around it. You
Yep.
train the dog to do what it is that you want it to do, it will obey you and it'll protect you, it'll do all of those things.
Right.
So you have to look at the shadow in that way, which a lot of men don't.
Mhm.
Um, there's a lot of things where it comes to self-doubt. That's a big thing that the shadow will be able to almost like sabotage a lot of the things that you have going on. Like
Yeah.
there's guys in business, for example, their biggest shadow is self-doubt and imposter syndrome, right? So
Mhm.
where they're afraid to charge higher prices because they suppress that greed. And
Yeah.
greed is not a bad thing. Greed
Yep.
is one of the shadows. Greed is important, but the only difference is where do you project that greed towards?
Yes.
I always say this, right? So there's Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
You look at Jeff Bezos, he's greedy as fuck, but in the best possible way. Because at the end of the day, he knows I want to make as much money as humanly possible. To
Mhm.
make more money, I need to provide as much value as humanly possible so I can capture a part of it. So it's
Yeah.
like this shadow of greed, he's transmuted it into creating value in the world.
Right.
Versus you have somebody who doesn't necessarily understand their shadow and they try to be good people. That's where you see all these fucking pastors and all these charlatans going in and
Mhm.
they almost mask their greed. They act like they're not greedy, yet they're asking you for offerings, they're asking you for tithes, and they're taking that money, they're stealing that money to go
Right.
buy private jets, all in the name of
Facts.
God,
Facts.
right? And that's again a part of suppressing the shadow where everyone inherently has these shadows. Everyone's greedy to a certain extent,
Mhm.
but it's how do you feed the greed? Damn, that's a bar. How do you feed the greed?
Facts. Yeah.
Do you feed the greed with stealing, robbing banks and shit? Because that's what you're going to do when you're greedy and you don't know what to do. Or you think, what is something positive I can do in the world that will give me the money that it is that I want? Which is, again, transmuting and integrating that dark side
Right.
because now when you, for example, you have a business, let's say you have a coaching business or you have a service-based business where you're selling to other businesses. Now when you get on the sales call, you're way more authoritative because that shadow, that greed is manifesting itself to where you sound like an authority and you want the money.
Mhm.
But the money is in exchange of the service that you're going to
Of a
provide. So
value.
you balance it out.
Mhm.
You're not going to have the imposter syndrome when it comes to that because when you
Facts.
get on that call you're going to be like, no, I provide X amount of value. I know that basically you're robbing me, but I want the money. You want this value that I give you.
Mhm.
You're going to be way more confident now saying, okay, this is costing you $5,000, $10,000. Shit, there's people who sell shit for $50,000. You're not going to have that imposter syndrome because again the shadow is going to manifest itself in a positive way to where no, I'm actually providing you $250,000 worth of value,
Bingo.
but I'm only going to take 50.
Mhm.
And the shadow's happy because now you're giving it what it wants, which is money or greed or whatever it is that you want.
Yeah.
But you can touch on that.
And if you I think you talking about it in a good space where um when you start to integrate it, that's probably the most important part. The
Hmm.
execution of adding it into your day to day, no matter what you're doing.
Hmm.
Because if you're holding it back and you're taking a part of you and you're putting it to the side, that means you're lying.
Hmm.
So that means if you're lying, you can never walk up to somebody at your authentic self. Therefore, you don't feel authentic in the way that you operate, and therefore you have no authority in the way that you kind of talk about an offer, talk about what you want from women, talk about how you're going to go after your goals. It's not true.
Mhm.
to 100% in the way that it should be. Which means then what happens when hardship comes, or the deal starts to flake, or if you have to negotiate, or all of these things, it starts to diminish even quicker because you're not
Mhm.
standing on solid ground,
Mhm.
right? When you add your shadow, it's almost like you're standing on concrete, like you're
Mhm.
standing on a full structure. When
Mhm.
you try to hide your your shadow, what does that do? Like, what is concrete and solder before it hits water?
Mhm.
Dust. So you're
Mhm.
going to try to sit there and stand on like this dust and flake when that's not what you have to do.
Mhm.
Add in the shadow to really then create a solid foundation to operate from,
Mhm.
right? And men, I think if you're gonna, and we were speaking about this briefly a second ago before live, which was the Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Yes.
right? So now if we bring in the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is sex, food, shelter,
That's the
survival,
bottom tier.
basically
That's
that is
like,
the bottom tier,
yeah.
right? If that's where your shadows lie, then how could you operate from that space if you're going to hide from that very space, but you're in that space?
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
understand? Like that's where you are, but you're trying to take the igniter to that space out from you. So then you're really just living a lie. Like there's
Yep.
nothing true about that. If you know that survival, if you know that sex, if you know that shelter are the things that you need, then why hide your desire for them?
Mhm. Mhm.
Doesn't make any sense. So
Mhm.
add them in as you go after them. And I think
Mhm.
like and we talk about women all the time because we already know sex, power, and respect
Money
are
and respect.
right
Yeah.
are the biggest things. So why are we acting like we don't want that?
Mhm.
Right? Add your shadow back in. And like
Mhm.
you said a second ago, add the value so that when you get the money, you can at least give something in exchange. You're a businessman.
Mhm.
That's how business works, value for value. So when you start to add the shadow, give some sort of value as you add it in. Then when you're
Mhm.
going for women, stay within your structure to understand that you kind of have all authority here,
Mhm.
right? You are the structure and she's the feminine energy that has to relax in your structure. So it doesn't
Mhm.
make any sense for you to want her to relax in her structure, but then act as if you're not the authority.
Mhm.
Right. And then you're bending the knee and you're begging her and you're doing all this other shit. Now you're being so like distracted from the goal where you could just use her as a test or a
Mhm.
drill. Right.
Mhm.
A lot of times, if I'm going on a date, I'm using it as a drill.
Yep.
How well do I operate within my structure when the feminine counterpart is in my vicinity?
Mhm.
Do I crumble into her softness or can I hold my structure and be disciplined with what I know? Right. And it goes deeper than that.
Mhm.
Now, after the date, if you're going in for a nightcap or you're going over, or she comes over, and now we've gotten a little relaxed and we got a little wine sipping going, and now it's time to engage. Do I fall into the softness
Mhm.
and almost in that needy, wanting, begging? Or do I dominate the space and have her feel fully relaxed in the
Mhm.
environment and then take and assume my role as the structure and authority while we're doing the activity? Right.
Mhm.
And I think that's where a lot of men start to lose themselves is because they see that little bit of softness and they're like, oh my God, this is the best. And I don't know, oh my God, head and shut up. Right?
Scarcity mindset.
Your duty is to be structured while you engage through and through, from the date to the car ride
Mhm.
home to the wine sipping to the action. Structure full through. Use it
Mhm.
as a polarity test. How well is your masculine staying in that disciplined, structured frame while softness is in your vicinity?
It's training the shadow essentially when you do that. You're
Right.
training it to be tamed during those times where you're
Mhm.
getting what it is that it wants. Like
Mhm.
it's the same when you talk about porn, right? Where it's like I think a lot of men struggle with that because it's a symptom of the actual problem of repressing the shadow of lust,
Right.
where men get to a point where they don't want to go out on dates and interact with women and put those reps in and get those drills in like you were talking about and
Mhm.
exercise the shadow in a constructive way.
Right.
So they get to a point where they just shut it down and they just say, you know what, I'm just going to go watch porn because the shadow has to manifest itself in one way, shape, or form. It has
Right.
to. The
Right.
shadow has to manifest itself in the way of watching porn, in the way of, shit, dare I say it, graping women. That's a thing, right?
Agree.
Those are all repressed shadows that are work. Crimes that you see, all of the crimes that you see, the most Like heinous crimes are all repressed shadows.
Facts.
And that goes into, okay, because a lot of men are looking at this and they're like, well, how do I know my shadow? Like, how does the shadow even start? One, every man has a shadow, but the shadow is, it's a perspective of society that causes the shadow. So I'll explain.
Mhm.
Early childhood, right? These are the times where you get the emotional wounds, you get all of the comments that you get from your teachers, your parents, like what's wrong with you? Why do you think like that? You may express it in a certain way, express some intent in a certain way.
Yeah.
It's demonized, right? The social conditioning of like learning different like behaviors, emotions that are either accepted or rejected by friends and family and society. Like the rejected things that society says no to, even at a very basic root, because the shadow doesn't fully manifest itself when you're young. It just shows flashes.
Mhm.
And those flashes are either corrected by yourself, which typically doesn't happen because you're not aware, or they're corrected or suppressed by your society or the environment that you're in.
Yep.
So it's the same with money, right? Like I grew up in Brooklyn where it was very, very scarce. And like I always got the money doesn't grow on trees. You got to work really, really hard to make money. Money is hard to come by, all of this. So my shadow is scarcity,
Mhm.
right? Because it was trained in me. Every time I talked about money, it was like a hush thing. Like, don't talk about money. Don't talk about money. Money, it's like the worst thing to talk about.
Facts.
So all of your shadows are all just conditionings, and it's simply a protective mechanism at this point. Like as you get older, it's just to protect you from getting the same rejections, getting the same, um, corrections that you got at a young age. Psychological defenses that are created in your brain simply to avoid vulnerability, which a lot of men avoid at this point in time. You know,
That's true. That's
that's
true.
my take on how it starts because it's all about it's your ego, it's your self image, it's all of that shit put in one, and either you address it head on and
Mhm.
you understand it, which a lot of men are afraid of. There's your shadow talks to you. I know I sound crazy, but like if you sit and I'll break down like something that people can do, but
Please
like
do.
you can listen to it. It's like your twin. It tells you shit that it wants. And if you don't listen to it, it's gonna get it regardless. Especially when you try to act like it doesn't exist.
Yep.
You try to act like you're this perfect person. I always look at like the people who are spiritual gurus, all the fucking like peaceful people. Those are the most dangerous human beings on the planet. They have all of this rage. They have all of this shit that's just like dormant and just waiting to just unleash. It's the same.
Mhm.
You see the Pope doing shit to little boys. Repressed rage. Never have sex. Sex is wrong. That's how the Pope probably grew up. That
Yeah.
shit has to manifest itself in the worst possible way when it has a chance.
It's foolish.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Right. If we talk about, we could even we can now introduce the polarity line of all these spectrums, right? Because that's kind of what's happening. You talked about when you talked about the programming when you're a child. That's what kind of sparked my brain because you were like, yeah, you grew up in scarcity, so that's what you knew, and
Hmm.
that's the shadow that forms, and it
Hmm.
stays there for a bit. So then your mind starts to program again through feedback loops and everything around you to push you to one spectrum of the polarity scale on that situation. So there's wealth and there's scarcity or abundance and scarcity. So now
Hmm.
you're pushing yourself to scarcity and
Hmm.
you haven't confronted it because you weren't aware of it. And therefore, every other parts of your life, if you're focusing, your mind is going to focus on that scarcity, is going to look for scarcity in everything else.
Hmm.
Right. So then you start to fear it, then almost like it's a domino effect. Because then it causes other parts of your life to then turn into scarcity. You might grow up thinking like, yep, women are cool, but there's nothing in there. That's
Hmm.
scarcity, right? You can have sex with women and still believe that they're empty containers.
Hmm.
There's nothing of value there, right? So scarcity
Interesting.
mindset. Then
Yeah.
your business starts to, you might want to do business. Oh, I can't do well in business because there's not enough money, scarcity mindset. So that shadow that you have repressed will fall into so many other categories of your life to polarize you and make sure that you're staying scarce because you never addressed it.
Hmm.
Right? And so you have to look at your shadow not as a evil twin, but
Hmm.
as a part of you.
Yeah.
Right? You are good and bad because realistically, what? There is no good or bad. That's the thing. And when you start to address these things and see it as one, And
Mhm.
now I just need to make sure that both are being fed at the same time. You need to be fulfilling yourself, but you also have to be addressing the parts of you that you've hidden away from for so long. So many of us are what, in our mid 20s and even on, right? And even younger. You're
Mhm.
you're you have to turn and say, fuck, what do I really want and why do I want it and how do I want it?
Yeah.
Not just, oh, I'm gonna do this thing to try and get it. No, no, no. How do I want it and how am I gonna
Mhm.
get it? Like I'm gonna get all of the things that I'm desiring. And you
Mhm.
gotta allow that side to be free. Stop
Mhm.
trying to cage that part of you. It doesn't make any sense. You cage it, and then you're just gonna, like you said a second ago, you're gonna start to deteriorate because you've hid it for so long,
Mhm.
right? So address it for 2 seconds, see what it's about, right? And it's hell, fuck, like the pornography. Address your lust. Go out on dates. See how many women you can get after that you actually are looking to get after. Stop thinking about this fantasy that's in the back of your brain where you're going on a hub to fulfill it. You can fulfill what you're looking for in your mind in real life if you just
Mhm.
go outside. And then
Mhm.
guess what happens? You start to polarize yourself away from this fantasy, away from
Mhm.
this pornography, and now you're having it come up in real life. And the same is true when you start to get the abundance. Your
Mhm.
life starts to align on the abundance scale. Oh, I can get women. My speech is becoming better. I'm doing better in sales because sales and sex is the same thing.
It's the same shit.
It's the same thing. So you start
Mhm.
doing better in business. Now money's flowing. Oh shit. Now I'm doing 10 times better. Why? Because you integrated the parts of you that you tried to run from.
Mhm.
Very simple. But it's something that you have to really get after now because that lust that you might be running from is the very power that you're looking for.
And a lot of it starts out with traumatic experiences, like I said, at a very early age. That's where it
Yep.
starts. You get this overwhelming event that happens, right? And then all of a sudden, it exceeds what at least Carl Jung says the coping capacity, where
Hmm.
it's like you have a certain capacity of cope that you have, but this trauma exceeds that level of cope that you can have at a certain point. Then you start to dissociate, right? Where you separate the painful parts of yourself and the best parts of yourself, which that's how
Right.
this shadow starts.
Right.
Then it goes unconscious, subconscious. Shadow then moves into unconscious, stays there, and then your light side or the societal norm side
Yeah.
goes into the other side, the conscious side, and you just start to focus on that. And then you have this fragmentation where now you're trying to cope all of the time. Like, bro, guys cope nowadays where they're just like, I just don't even like women. Okay, so you're fundamentally gay. Is that your shadow manifesting itself?
Facts. Facts.
Your the shadow manifests itself now where it's like guys are like, yeah, don't ever be with a woman, just like live with your bro. That's your shadow, bro, trying to turn you gay. I joke around about that shit, but like it's actually the truth.
It's facts.
And you have to be able to start to recognize this unconscious side because most men are ruled by their unconscious mind. That's it.
Mhm.
And they don't train it. Actually, all men are ruled by their unconscious mind. The men who consciously train the unconscious mind, they can move through life and get what it is that they want. The men who just let that shit just simmer, it's fucked.
Mhm. And I'm seeing the comment of I'm stuck in that stage currently in life.
What stage?
What state? Right, that's what I was about to say. What stage? Because I think there are, like you said a second ago, if you bring up childhood, that's a stage in life.
Mhm,
Adolescence, to where now you use what you were programmed as a child to then see the feedback that society gives you to deem something good or bad. That's
mhm,
a stage. Coming out of that to realize, oh shit, society is constructed. And then
mhm,
I'm seeing that, fuck, none of this aligns with what I want. That's a stage. And then
mhm.
coming out of that and really starting to dissect your mind and say, fuck, there is a conscious side and there is a subconscious, and I have to figure out how to tap into my subconscious without ruining my entire ability to operate in life.
Yep,
Because there is that gray line where it's like, fuck, if I don't get out of this area right here, I'm going to start to blame the world and spiral.
yep.
Because you're going to think like society's constructed, everyone's against you, none of this shit makes sense. I'm tired of this shit.
Mhm,
And that's where people start to get into this depression and anxiety because they don't allow themselves to actually confront that subconscious mind and train it. Because it's
mhm,
just like training, like we said a
mhm,
second ago. If you were like boxing, right?
mhm.
Sparring doesn't screw you up for for game day
Hmm.
or for the actual match. No, it
Fight
doesn't.
day, yeah.
It trains you to actually do better. So then,
Hmm.
if you just focus a bit more on the sparring piece of your life, which is your mind, you'll do
Hmm.
better in life when it's time to show up for yourself, right? In
Hmm.
all realms. And we kind of talk about, and I know we're going to get to that in a second, where your thoughts equal your emotions equal your actions equal your reality.
Hmm.
So if it's all a thought,
Hmm.
if everything starts from the thinking, you need to think more.
Hmm.
That's what you need to do. You need to start to really assess, why am I thinking the thoughts that I have, before I allow it to screw with my emotions, and before I allow those emotions to show me or signal to me what I should do, and then for what you've done now to create your reality. If it all
Hmm.
starts from the top down, which is your thoughts come first, assess your mind. Start to
Hmm.
train your subconscious mind to see the fallacies in the things that you believe in the program that you were given as a kid, so that you do better when you start to act.
Hmm. And that all starts because this is a big thing that I teach a lot of people,
Yep.
where and this will expand kind of the thought loop pattern you're talking about, where
Mhm.
there's your thought that you have, right? The problem with most people, they identify with their thoughts first. So
Yep.
the thought comes in and they believe that it's theirs, so they have to identify with it and they have to accept it, which accepting something or rejecting something turns into a belief,
Right.
right? But even before that, you have to get to a point where you dissociate with your thoughts. You're just observing it, which you can easily do with meditation. If you guys watch self improvement, you I don't need to teach you fucking
Right.
meditation,
Right.
but you get to a point where you're meta thinking, where you're thinking about your own thoughts and you're filtering it out. You're training your subconscious mind to filter out the thoughts, filter out what are the good thoughts. Any bad thoughts that you have to reframe it into a positive thought. That's mental
Mhm.
warfare in a nutshell. You get
Mhm.
into the beliefs. Okay, these are all the thoughts that I've accepted. Those better be positive thoughts, because those same beliefs turn into emotions, because you're going
Mhm.
to feel some type of way of what you believe is true.
Yep.
And those feelings will then turn into actions,
Mhm.
which is how you're going to basically move throughout reality, move throughout your life based on, like you said, the root thing, the thought.
Mhm.
And the thought part is interesting because if you want to recognize the shadow, you also have to see, okay, what are some qualities that I strongly dislike in other people?
Mhm.
Because usually those are qualities that you've disowned in yourself in some way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
You see someone that's bragging and boasting, you're like, man, I hate how he brags so much. You dislike that that person brags so much because you have an inability to do it for yourself, or
Yep.
you feel like society is going to cast you out because that's something that you've always wanted to do, but you were shut out. And this person is doing that and they're winning, and you thought that you could win by not bragging, and you're losing.
Mhm.
And the shadow comes in and it's like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
And you keep suppressing it down. You keep suppressing it down to the point where soon you just blow up and think, you know what? Fuck it. I'm the universe. Like, you're gonna blow up one day.
It's true. It's so true, bro. And that's a funny ass point, bro. That's funny as fuck. Where people allow their shadows to come out, because it has to come out, like we've
Yeah.
said. It's either going to destroy your life or destroy somebody else's life. And
Mhm.
people don't like to destroy their life, because this can go back into the things that we've talked about before, where if you start to recognize the things that are wrong, and now I know I must reconstruct my full structure, I don't
Mhm.
want to do that, because it's going to screw up my entire life. So
Mhm.
instead, I'm going to hold my identity in in the soft, weak parts of me, and then aim my target to go destroy the reputation, talk
Mhm.
shit about somebody else, because they're doing the very things that I refuse to confront and add back into my life.
Mhm.
What happens when you're winning and you
Oh,
want
that's an easy one.
to loser brag?
I mean, think about it. I don't think any winner that sees a clear loser bragging and gives a fuck about that loser. Like, if I see someone who's below me bragging, I just laugh and move on.
Yeah.
Now, the difference is when you're a loser and you see a winner bragging, that's where you start to see shit. That's when you get mad. I promise you, nobody who is in a more successful position that's watching somebody else trying to climb the ladder and they're bragging and they're doing all, they may pull them to the side and say, hey, you could do this a little bit better, but they're
Yep.
not going to hate that person.
Mhm.
If you hate somebody, it's because they're doing something and it's working for them, and you can't do that same shit. It's the
Right.
same when I get on camera, or you, Dwight, you get on camera and we
Mhm.
get haters in the comments. The reason why they're hating is not just because of the points that we make, it's the fact that we can get on a camera and say some shit and not care about what anybody thinks,
Mhm.
and they can't do it.
Right.
They couldn't get themselves to. Sometimes I click on the profiles. I'm like, you know what? Let me see how many videos this guy has. No profile picture, no videos,
Right.
which tells me you're hating from below. I have never seen somebody who is in the content space drop a hate comment under anybody's shit.
Never.
Never seen it.
Never.
When you're winning, bro, you're winning. You don't care.
Anybody.
Losers can literally, as long as they're not fucking with you, which they can't, it doesn't matter. I
Right.
can see someone losing and bragging and flashing all of the rented shit that they have, and I know that they're losing. I fucking laugh. I see all these gurus and I see all the fucking Miami penthouse, the money, all that. I know what happens behind the scenes. They're
Right.
losers. They're late on rent all the time. They're in the
Mhm.
negatives. Their
Mhm.
business is failing. They have to put on a facade.
Mhm.
In my mind, I'm better than them. I'm winning. Why the fuck do I need to go under their comment section and say, you're so fake, you're losing? The only people who do that are the people who are actually in worse positions than them, which is
Then they are.
sad.
Right.
And they're like, bro, stop bragging. That's materialistic. Yes, because you're in a losing position.
Right.
It's the only time that you hate on somebody.
Mhm. Winners focus on winning. Literally. Only.
Yes.
Like
And
only. Like
and other
nothing else.
winners.
Another one, like we just connect.
Yeah.
Because again, like we could take it to the place of success because it's subjective to everybody, right? Some people want to live in a farm life with chickens and livestock, or some people want to be in a penthouse, some people want to travel. So whatever success looks like for you, realistically, you focus on that lane and you're going to meet other people doing the same thing,
Hmm.
right? That's kind of how we met. We were doing the same thing however many years ago. And that's how we then connected. Like, you're doing the same shit. I'm doing the same shit. Let's chat. No hatred. No fuck you, guy. It's we run parallel and we're
Hmm.
like, you could work on that. I can work on this. That's how the winners work. We think about ideas. We see other people because we're working parallel in a winning space. How can I help you? How can you help me? And we just keep rolling. When you
Hmm.
start to do this shit where you're rolling, well, you can't really be rolling because now you're focusing on losers,
Hmm.
right? Losers focus on losers. So if you're going to be a winner, think about ideas that you can execute on enough to prove some transformation in your life so that you can get the
Hmm.
ball rolling so that when you meet other winners, you have a story to tell,
Hmm.
right? And to double down on what you were just talking about with the Miami folk who are late on rent, you see the funniest thing about entrepreneurship, business, and this life period is it's hard. And
Hmm.
therefore they sell you the bullshit to keep your shadows locked,
Hmm.
right? Because if you were to really understand business and entrepreneurship, you would know there are going to be times where you have phenomenal months,
Of
breakthrough
course.
months, and then you're going to have lowest months on record.
Hmm.
And sometimes you end up in a 60-day drought.
Hmm.
But guess what? The month right after that is another monumental month. But what do
Hmm.
you do if you didn't prepare for the 2 months of drought?
Hmm.
Huh? Now you're late on things.
Hmm.
But you believe in yourself enough to create revenue again because you know it's going to come. That's what winners do, right? You still focus on winning, even though life doesn't show up the way you want it to certain times, right? But they don't show you that part for a
Right. Of
reason.
course.
Because if
Marketing.
you understood that the very fucking struggle that you're in right now is what builds you up to have the value, the wisdom, and the ability to get through the
Mhm.
resistance barrier of wanting the success in whatever lane you want, right? You wouldn't be a fan of theirs. You'd be
And,
focusing on yourself,
and
which is
even
what you need to
deeper,
do.
and
Yeah, go
even
ahead.
deeper, you wouldn't put them on a pedestal anymore because that's their whole entire business model. If you realize that the struggles that you're going through are actually better than the struggles that they're going through,
Yes.
you wouldn't put them on a pedestal anymore. If you
Mhm.
knew that the guy that you saw that bought 4 Lambos and has like 20 Rolexes is late on rent, can't pay his staff, can't do any of that, is maybe, and I'm not speaking on a specific, I'm actually combining multiple different
Multiple
situations I've
people.
heard,
Mhm. Mhm.
is complete like negative in their own personal bank account. They can't pay anything. They're locked. you would literally not watch that person anymore, and they would lose you as somebody who is their energy source. So it's literally all a game. And this goes into what Chris Best says. He says I guess it bothers me because I care. There are so many ambitious brothers that's being led in the wrong way. That again, and this is just a live reaction. When I hear that, all I hear is I wish I could do something about it, but I can't. I don't have the influence that these people have. Because when I came into YouTube, for example, I saw all the bad shit that was going on,
Mhm.
all the YouTubers that were leading people astray. I didn't immediately say it bothers me. I said, well, what can I do about I need to gain influence now.
Right.
That's it. I didn't hate on them. I didn't say, oh, fuck this guy. He's horrible. No, I'm going to beat you. I'm going to be better than you. I'm going to start posting content better than you. I'm going to get the subscribers that I want. I'm going to lead people the way that I want to lead them. And you move in that regard. Hate is the worst possible emotion that you can have
Right.
when it comes to hating from below, at least. You can hate shit from above.
That you've been through.
Yeah.
Right.
But
That's
I'm not gonna if I feel like I see somebody saying something that I disagree with and he's leading people the wrong way, my first reaction is how do I get those people to start listening to me? It's not I hate this guy, I need him to be deleted off of the internet. No, keep him on the internet, let him embarrass himself because it's gonna happen. Fakeness doesn't last very long.
Mhm.
Again, the shadow will sabotage you. You will say some shit on you will trip up and say some wild shit on camera that was in your mind the whole time,
That you
and you
won't
will
let out.
fall.
Yep. Certainly. And that was the first thing I was going to do. I know this is not a hit piece, but Chris Best is the first thing. Why aren't you posting content about it?
Yeah.
If you do not like the things that you see, why don't you become the thing that you want to see?
Hmm.
That's kind of that's where I would take it, right? Because this thing where I think you and I both can agree that there are very strong men that are in the shadows.
Hmm. He
Very.
said it. He literally said it. He was like, "I'm one of the most
Mhm.
successful people in the
Mhm.
world." That's interesting to say,
Right.
but veteran,
Right.
six-figure earner, athletic, great. The challenge is there's so much good content that people run in circles. Then be the guy that
Then
makes
be
people stop running in circles.
right.
Give them straight talk, direct to the point. I did that shit
You
in the fitness industry. Same shit.
uh-huh.
I saw
Uh-huh.
all of this information, people talking about all this shit. Okay, let me just break this shit down simply and give
Yep.
people what they want to hear and give people a straight line direction so they don't have to listen to any of the bullshit. I could have said the same shit. Oh, well, I have this physique. I have one of the best physiques in the world. I've never said that shit. I'm just going parroting off of what he's
Right,
saying.
right, right.
I just hate seeing people do all this. And it's like, okay, if I hate that shit, then I'm gonna change it.
Right. And it's to even again, this is not a hit piece, but this is just kind of constructive feedback. I'm one of the most successful people in the world, veteran six-figure earner. No one knows you. That's the other thing. No one knows you to the point where you want to be known, which
Hmm.
then could then be identified as a loop or a shadow
Hmm.
because you're not creating content for a reason.
Hmm.
Because if you're most successful and you're a veteran, phenomenal, appreciate
Hmm.
your service,
Of
and
course.
that's almost like that's an amazing life record that you have, and
Hmm.
you're a six-figure earner, but you
Hmm.
won't get on a camera to showcase the truth
Hmm.
behind that life. Because I'm sure you have wisdom just as much as we do, because you've lived a life
Maybe more.
that's
Yeah.
full, right? And therefore, the reason why you're getting upset is because you're not taking on the task
Hmm.
of actually going after the thing that you deem as important. So I would almost start to ask yourself, and this is something that you can do by yourself. Just ask yourself why. Why haven't I picked up a camera? Am I afraid to pick up a camera? Am I
Hmm.
scared to be seen? Am I scared to be broken down? Right? Because then that might again reveal to you another part of a shadow that
Hmm.
you might be in a loop with your own identity.
Hmm.
Because then if I get in front of people and they start talking shit, will I get it like will I feel weird about it? Why would you feel weird if you're fully centered and understand yourself at a high degree? Right. So it'll reveal parts of you that you might have been ignoring. And I think this is just
Hmm.
doubling down back on the shadow conversation, where when you start to do more things and experience life at a deeper level, going after the things that you actually want to go after because of the stages that you are in life. I think you've gone through certain stages and now you're at a stage where it's like, now it's time to show my light, but you're capping yourself. And
Mhm.
therefore you get frustrated because now you're watching everybody talk about bullshit that you know actual information about.
Mhm.
That's kind of why the two of us exist. We
Mhm.
live lives that people are talking about in this comfort lifestyle, Lambos, women, money, when it doesn't look like that.
Mhm.
It's a byproduct of the hard pain that people are trying to not show because it's not as flashy.
Mhm.
So yeah, I would almost implore you to pick up a camera and start talking about this life because
Please do.
it seems like you have a lot of value to share. So share. That's why you're getting so frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, it's the shadow literally telling you, bro, turn on the camera and say you're the most successful person in the world, but
Right.
you probably won't want to do that.
Right. And you probably don't want to talk about the hard, ugly parts of that story because they're not pretty. What is it best to stay in the shadows, conquer the world because so no one cares but me
He said, "My point is, it's best to stay in the shadows. It's not best to stay in the shadows. That's a cope.
at all. That is the
That's a
biggest goal.
big cope. You want to know why
What's
it's not? That's like almost you're actually canceling out what you said, where it's like there's all this bad information or there's all this information. Like I need to see more people take on the good information and take action. The only way that you can make that happen is by being the person that tells someone to do that because people will probably listen to you more than they'd listen to me or Dwight or anybody else because they connect with you better. It's almost like you're doing the world a disservice by having all of this information that you have and not going on camera, not presenting yourself, not actually being vulnerable by showing your face on the camera.
Mhm.
Like you're doing yourself and the world a disservice. If if somebody's the best person in the world, I want to see them. I want to see them. I want to see them not because I'm saying like, oh, it's not true. I want to learn how to be the best person in the world too. Shit, I'm not the best person in the world. If you're the best person in the world, I want to learn from you. I really do. But I can't.
And bro, we could just get raw at this rate. Bro, the amount of times we have conversation about where the other authentic strongmen that are actually doing the work that we do. Where are y'all? In the shadows? Y'all sit in the shadows. Well, then, when we look for people that we need to also fight this war, because there's literally a tug of war going on, by the way,
Mhm.
and strong men are hiding away because of what? This has nothing to do with success, right? This has all to do with the goal that you have for your life. What is it that you want to do for life, right? And I'm not saying that this needs to be your goal for life, because you could goodly stay in the shadows. But then when you want to talk about the war, don't talk about it because you
And
decide to stay inside.
and the thing that I see a lot of there's certain guys who will say like, well, some of the most successful men in the world, nobody knows them. Yes, that was old times. We live in a time where now content is currency and content is king. Like that's literally what you're seeing. Some of the biggest billionaires now hop on podcasts. You're seeing them make their own personal brands now. They're starting to speak out a lot more because they understand to have influence in this world, good or bad, because I know, yeah, when you go public it comes with a lot of backlash, of course, but
Right,
that's the cost of influence, that's the cost of impact.
right.
Jesus got crucified for a reason, for speaking out.
Hmm.
There's a cost to that shit. There's a cost of actually saying the truth and leading people in a different direction than what you currently see. And there's some men who just don't want to step up to the plate and do it. That's fine. But don't get mad when you see somebody else who's less qualified than you getting on a camera and talking and getting millions of people to watch them.
Hmm.
Because there's 19-year-olds doing this shit.
Yeah.
There's 45-year-olds doing this. There's 50-year-olds starting to pick up a camera. Look, advice from a 60-year-old. I literally saw a video about that recently. A guy who's a multi-billionaire. I would have never known him. I would have never been able to understand his perspective. But he said, fuck it. Let me get on the camera. Let me talk. It is what it is.
I'm just reading this second comment. Been in the shadows for years, no need for a cam. Now that social media exists, now we need the cams. If social media didn't exist, we wouldn't be speaking of
Exactly.
cams. Just get the knowledge or understand and keep moving.
I get it. But the thing is, social media does exist.
I'm debating y'all, brother. You got my full support. I'm just speaking from a different perspective. I'm not a content creator. I'm a corporate professional. That's my lane. Uh,
That's good.
Social media.
There's
Bro,
no debate. There's
there is
just
no
it's
debate.
just the truth.
It's just facts.
We're going off of what you're telling
What
us.
you
Like,
right, what you put in here. If you
if
want to be the guy in the shadows, stay in the shadows.
there's nothing
But
wrong with that either.
there's
It's
nothing
like that.
wrong.
But if it's irking you that people
Right.
who are not in the shadows are out there, and you believe that there's something wrong, then you might have an internal prerogative to do something about it, even as a corporate person.
Right.
Actually, that gives you more credibility.
Right. Because then you can almost like under like go through the corporate towel and kind of pull it apart. It's part
Hmm.
of the process of becoming successful. Sure. Right. And again, that's why I said it's not just surface level about, oh, I'm just a corporate guy who's in my lane. No, it's deeper than that. Why don't you want to do? Why aren't you double downing on this urge that you have? Right? You almost
It
have
maybe
to.
it's not an urge. I don't know if it's an urge or
Right.
not.
We don't know enough information. So that's almost ignorant of us to say. But if it truly is an urge that
Hmm.
you feel and understand, and that voice that we've just said a second ago is something that's nudging you, then you have to take account of it and ask why. Where is it coming from and why does it exist? And just keep going down that until you get a solid answer.
And I'll be honest, I was in the same boat. I was gonna ride corporate America and sit in the shadows and not say anything. But there was
Mhm.
something that compelled me to get on a camera, first on Instagram, start talking, start doing. I did not like it. I'm an introvert at heart. I tell people this shit all the time. They don't believe me. I don't like talking all of the time. I don't like presenting myself in public. I don't really necessarily feel like I want to do that, but I know there's a need. I know that there's a place for that. It's like I'm just doing what I believe is true for me. And it just depends on the person. It depends on him as a person, you know?
Mm.
I was speaking on the sacrifice of women, social media parties, and focusing.
Okay.
I guess. Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
Whatever makes you happy, bro.
Right. You know what I mean? Your life is your life and your life is yours to live, so
Yeah.
it's you choose, right? We all have a path that we're going to follow. I believe we're all on the same journey to figure out self, right? And we're all taking different like routes within the same journey to get to the same space. So if that's whatever it is that you do, you continue doing that as long as it's fulfilling you, right? See all at the top, for sure,
Word.
bro. For sure. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
So
crazy.
talk to me about like the we because we've spoken about uh shadows, but
Hmm.
now I think people need to know how to integrate it in practical terms,
Hmm.
because you and I can speak it at depth, right?
Hmm.
And we'll understand it. But for the layman that doesn't necessarily understand his shadow, doesn't even know how to find his shadow, let's say,
Hmm.
how would he find his shadow, and then how would he integrate it?
Hold on, hold on. Somebody says super chat is off. Have I been leaving super chats on the table?
All right, see,
Jesus.
you're fucking up, brother. You're fucking up.
This is yeah, I think it's this whole phone thing, but let me see.
Yeah,
Uh,
next time, the next time got to be on.
Brian, give me a second, my man. This is
We got
crazy.
to figure that out.
It might be off. Is
Somebody
it
said
off?
nah. Somebody said nah.
Martell, brother. I don't know what that means, but super chat is on, I believe.
Straight.
Yeah, yeah, it's on. It's on.
Oh, shoot, say. Okay, right. Yeah. So if we were to talk about structure and chaos, um, structure and chaos when it comes to your shadow with integration and not integrating it. But I
Mhm,
would say first for the guy who is just coming out and is probably just hearing this for the first time,
mhm.
how would you say? Give me a few examples of shadows and how to see them.
Yeah, I would say the first thing is get into a quiet space. sit for yourself. Put a timer on for 20 minutes if you need to, because I know we got TikTok brain and some people can't sit. Put a timer and make yourself sit there. Full silence. Don't even listen to meditation music. Don't do anything. Go into silence and start to have a dialogue with the shadow. Call out the shadow. It sounds very, very crazy, but I think people don't realize. And this is the biggest unlock I've had because my whole life I believed that my imagination was bullshit.
Sure.
A lot of people believe their imagination is bullshit. A lot of people believe that the voices in their head are bullshit. It's all real. It's all just different parts of you talking to you, right?
Mhm.
So when you sit there, you have to announce, like, you are the shadow. I want to have a conversation with you. I notice that you appear in, and then just label all of the times that you've meta realized, okay, this is when the shadow appeared. This is the worst part of myself that I've held back. All of the like literally think of the worst versions of yourself that you've held back and
Mhm.
start to talk to it and say, why have you been sabotaging me in X, Y, and Z? Every time that you've self-sabotaged with women, every time you self-sabotage with money, business, all of that, ask it why. It will tell you exactly why.
Yep.
And be open about it.
Mhm.
And remember that and write that shit down. And make a pact with it and say, look, if if I will allow for you to come out into the world, if only you do it in a positive way.
Mhm.
And then start to analyze, okay, lust. I have a problem with women. I have a problem with lust. I watch a lot of porn. I will allow for you to come out in the world if you do it in a positive way. The first thing it's going to say is, I need you to go talk to women. I need you to go out and talk to her. You need to go fuck a woman.
Sure.
Literally, it will say that shit.
Mhm.
And you either honor that in a respectful way. Obviously, you don't go out there acting crazy, but you go interact with women. And that's the intention, of course, but you're doing it. You're exercising it. It could be money, right? Where you're like, you keep self sabotaging me with money. Okay, how can I start to express you out loud? It will tell you exactly what you need to do. I need you to go start a business. You've been in the corporate world for a long fucking time, and I've been sabotaging your money because you're not going to go in the route that I want you to go in making more money because you don't believe that you can. I need you to go out and do the shit that you need to do to make more money. It'll tell you all that shit. You write that shit down and you start to integrate that into your life. Now, the way that you can fuck up is when you don't tell it to do it in a positive way and you don't frame your mind in that sense
Mhm.
and you address it and it tells you, I want you to go rob a bank. Fuck all these people. Be Robin Hood for everybody. It'll tell you that shit. Or go put your hands on a woman and force her to do X, Y, and Z. It will tell you to do that shit.
Mhm.
It's crazy, but you have to be at a place where you're like, I want to only use you for positive. I'm gonna allow for you to show yourself, but only for positive shit only.
Mhm.
And it'll give you that. You'll be able to like come up with certain scenarios. I can come up with a bunch of different positive scenarios where a shadow can be transmuted, but
Right.
each person's shadows are different.
Subjective. Yeah.
Some people it's insecurity. Some people their biggest shadow is the fact that they're just not comfortable in their own skin. And that shadow wants them to start being more comfortable in their own skin by maybe posting content or maybe post that shirtless picture that you want to post on the fucking Instagram stories.
Right.
Do it. It'll make the shadow feel good. And this is another part, right? It's your shadows are broken down in three different things.
Mhm.
There is Machiavellianism,
Mhm.
which is deception, strategy, all of that. That typically aligns with like manipulation, but there's ethical manipulation, right? A lot of that comes down with women, it comes down to like people around you, friends, etc. There's everybody knows this narcissism, right? Which is loving yourself or having self quote unquote, I say self worship just to piss people off because people are religious, but
Yeah.
revering yourself in the highest possible way and putting
Mhm.
yourself over people. That's the extreme of it.
Yeah.
And then there's psychopathy, which is detaching yourself from emotions. Psychopaths are detached from emotions.
Yeah.
Those are the three categories, and you can break it down into subsects of like, okay, within that there's all of these different types of shadows. You have to categorize it in what it is, and then you have to transmute it. For narcissism, for example, I tell a lot of people, you are trying to hide how narcissistic you are because you're trying to be extremely just like humble. You need to start talking yourself up. You need to start going to the gym and like seeing yourself in the mirror and being proud of what it is that you put together.
Right.
You got some psychopathic tendencies. You try to detach from emotions. That will, by the way, sabotage with women when it comes to connection with women.
Hmm.
Unless you transmute it into something that's positive, aka business. You get on a sales call, you can't be emotional with the prospect. You
Or
know, it's
expect. Hmm.
yeah, it's like you gotta categorize after you have this conversation with the shadow, you categorize where it's at between those three, and you basically use it for something that's positive for you and for the world. I mean, you being healthier, for example, with narcissism, you will inspire hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions of people, to also do the same thing for themselves. That's a positive thing.
Hmm.
You going into business and having the whole psychopathic tendencies, you'll be able to help somebody else cross over the line to be able to pay for a service or a product or something like that that you have that will actually help their life
Right.
if what you're selling is useful.
Yeah.
Manipulation, same shit with sales, or you can even say with women, you can literally ethically get a woman to like you and you can give her the gift of you, which is also part of narcissism. Understanding that
Hmm.
you're the gift that you to women, like
Right.
you're the prize, is what the fuck the alpha male people
The
say.
fuck is there? Yeah.
But it's true. You hold the value, and now you want to. She's allowed to now be in your presence. That's peak narcissism, bro. But it's the best possible thing, and all women want that shit.
It's true. But they want the container so that they can relax. That's the thing. And I think a lot of dudes get it fucked up where they think that the self praise or the self worship is a bad thing because it's deemed in a weird way in society when it's the
Hmm.
very thing that you should be doing. If
Hmm.
you're the structure that women are going to feel comfortable in, you must be able to understand you must present yourself as that very structure. It's
Hmm.
not, oh, I'm gonna run you down. So what? She can how is any chasing anything going to make a woman feel comfortable?
It
No,
won't.
you present the container that she's never seen before because the majority of masculine energy is real sideways or
Hmm.
has holes within the container so she never feels fully comfortable. And when you show up with this structure for her, you're going to polarize her because being structured and disciplined is a masculine trait. And if you're
Hmm.
on the we talked about this before, if you're very masculine, you're going to polarize very feminine women.
Of
If
course.
you're not as masculine, you're going to polarize masculine women.
Yeah.
And so, because someone has to be the container.
Hmm.
Someone. The energy must be held some way, somehow, when two people show up together. So
Hmm.
when you're going out and you're almost showcasing that I am the container,
Hmm.
I am what holds everything that I desire. You now come into my space and feel safe and comfortable. And so when it comes to your shadows, it's the same. It's the same sort of energetic field that you have to get comfortable in, where you have to be structured and have a goal for what you're doing. You spoke about um, how do you, when that shadow speaks to you, you need to be able to integrate it and do something for good. But the first thing you have to figure out is what is
What
it
is it?
that you're aiming after?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, how do you go out and operate from a place of good if you don't even know what the fuck you're aiming at? Aim at something, right? And be able to then execute by aiming, by then being disciplined to that aim and fulfilling whatever it is that you have to fulfill as you go out. Uh, and I think sales and women are the best ways to do it because they allow you to learn so much not only about yourself but about business.
Literally, and even deeper than that too, because if people are watching this far, they can learn some crazy shit. I've had
Yeah,
a crazy theory when people talk about the war of masculinity. They're like, "There's a war on masculinity." I don't think they understand the deep like strategy that's going on because it's a war on identity, right? And your identity houses your shadow.
right.
So what happens is they do exactly how what it is that suppresses the shadow in the first place that we talked about in childhood. They
Yep.
shame you for all this shit. They
Hmm.
try to make sure that you suppress it, right?
Hmm.
With the hopes that you suppress it so hard that it manifests itself in the worst possible way so that they can continuously go on that loop of then demonizing you as a bad person,
Hmm.
which is why we have school shooters, which
Yep.
is why we have men who are doing fucked up egregious shit to women.
Yep.
We have all of that because it's all by design. If we shame you for all of this shit that you do, we shame you for going and having multiple women, etc. I've never had a problem with guys who want to do that shit. That shit, if that's what's normal to you, that's what's normal to you.
Correct.
But it also is shamed, right? So now guys close off and they're like, fuck, I'm here, I'm stuck. And then next thing you know, this same guy goes out and gets sexual assault cases left and right.
Mhm.
Or this same guy who was shamed for I don't know, like doing something that was aggressive at one point in time, he suppresses it so much that now it manifests itself to a school shooting.
Mhm.
You see that because a lot of white people are school shooters. It's true. You don't hear of a black person being a fucking school shooter. Why? Because they were suppressed on that. A lot of gang violence in the black community is the same shit, suppression.
Mhm.
Suppression then turns into manifestations of gang violence, of school
Something
shootings,
else.
of all of this crazy shit, case by case basis. But that's why you see the crimes that you see because people are suppressed. People don't know how to actually tap into the shadow. People don't even know the shadow exists. But that's the whole point of being good at war is deception. They can't know what the fuck it is that you're targeting.
Right.
If men knew that their shadows were being targeted and they had to actually protect it and use it, we would have less chaos.
Have less fun.
Masculinity would not be toxic. That's the language of toxic masculinity is for you to not be masculine, to suppress it hard enough to where it can be overly expressed.
Mhm.
And now you can be shamed and the cycle continues. Well, yeah, he's toxically masculine. See, he just did this, he just did that. And now that reinforces the entire masculine population or
Yep.
population with high masculinity to
Yep.
continue suppressing it, which then
Mhm.
makes it worse and worse and worse
Mhm.
to the point where now it just doesn't fucking exist.
Mhm.
Society collapses, which is exactly what they want. Who's they? The fucking elites. I don't know who they are. Lizard beings, reptilians. I don't give a fuck who you call them.
Yeah, let's not do it. I mean, it's important, but it's not important. The thought that my always my thinking when it comes to stuff like that is then where do we go? Right?
We
Where do I know, but like where do we go? You tell me.
education. It's literally it's education of yourself. They say knowledge of self. You have to know yourself. Most men, the problems that they're facing is all from the component of not knowing who you really are and not willing to confront who you are currently and trying to become who you need to be. So every man gets stuck in almost living in an identity that was not theirs,
Yep.
living a life script that was not theirs, getting repressed and enraged by the fact that they have zero control of their life. The minute that you take control of you, you take control, radical self responsibility,
Yep.
which unfortunately, even in the black community, doesn't fucking exist. It's actually the worst in that community, the most. My community, our community is fucking
Literally.
horrible.
Yeah.
Self accountability.
Mhm.
That's what it takes. It takes radical self accountability to know I have to act a certain way. I have to take control of my life. I have to learn what the negative parts of me are, and I have to tame them and I have to use them to my benefit. All of the demons that you have inside of you are your legion. They want to be commanded. If you don't command them, they will command you, and you're fucked.
Mhm. That's pretty much how it is. But men have to choose that,
Hmm.
and you know that. Men have to choose that outcome.
Hmm.
Right, and that's where social engineering is kind of screwing people up, is the
Oof.
fact that they've destroyed your minds to a point where you don't even give a fuck about none of that. They've kept you believing that the lowest arc on Maslow's hierarchy of needs is what you need and the
Hmm.
only thing you need. And so that's the very thing we're going to force down your mind every single day, nonstop, right? Survival. And where is survival when it comes to thinking a little deeper? Doesn't
Nowhere.
exist. I'm looking to survive the next day. I don't give a fuck about the generations after me. Well,
That's the
then
weapon.
that's truly what it is. Right. That's why I asked you that question. Because it's where do you go when social engineering has all of these men thinking about themselves and themselves only for one day, not on a long period of time. right? For the next day. How do I make money for the next day? How do I eat for the next day? How do I take care of the burdens or the liabilities that I have for the next day? Not a long-term scale of reconstruction, looking at social engineering and saying, that's the bullshit. That's the weapon. That's the thing we have to take out, right? And the way you take that out is by looking within yourself to see where the fuck have I gone wrong or been socially engineered to believe certain lies to keep me within a loop, right? Where am I being told that my shadows are a bad thing? Where am I suppressing myself then for it to come out in a different version that I totally didn't want? Because again, life expresses itself in positives and negatives. And so you leave it up to the gamut to see what happens, right? But then you realize if you go to the positive side, there are hurdles that require you to reconstruct. So even if you get throttled into a positive part of life, you realize you have a decision to make.
Mhm.
Am I going to go through the hardship of the reality that's never shown,
Mhm.
or am I going to go back to the comfort of doing bullshit and going down a negative rabbit hole?
Mhm.
And what's the easier path? The rabbit hole of going down comfort. And
Yep.
therefore, social engineering continues, right?
Mhm.
The lifestyle and Lamborghinis and the women and the sex and this and that, right? Continues because it's the easier path to believe. And then even when you want the women and the sex, you think you can't get it. And therefore you suppress all thoughts of ever having it. So going
100%.
up positive is never something that's chosen. It's not never. It's just unlikely, right? Because it's not easy and it's never shown. So you're being socially engineered to do fuckery and fuck your life up. And that's why many folk here, right, will speak and we'll go on these topics and go over and over and over and over these topics.
Mhm. Mhm.
They'll listen, they'll run away with the information almost like motivation and be back in the social engineering loop of doing
Mhm.
bullshit tomorrow
Mhm.
because it's easier.
It's true.
So it's a very interesting place we're in. And you just have to that's why that's why I get so hard when it comes to dudes that talk about wanting to be a part of the war, but then sit in the shadows. I hate that.
You can't
Can't
complain about a war and just sit there and watch.
never, never.
And it's even worse because, and going back to your whole survival point, right?
Right. Yeah.
I think the world would be a lot better if all men became entrepreneurs. Apparently that's a radical take, but it's true. If all men decided to be entrepreneurs, I think we would be in the best place because, like it or not, a lot of you guys are into self improvement. You want to know what the best self improvement is? Starting a business. You will self improve like bro. What?
You ain't got no choice.
Your shadow is literally reflected in your business.
Right.
Your business will literally crash because you cannot control yourself. It's radical self accountability every single day because you
Hmm.
don't have a boss.
Hmm.
You don't have hours being clocked in and out. You
Yeah.
have responsibilities to help clients or customers or whatever business it is that you have.
Hmm.
All of this shit is on you. And a lot of men are scared. Why? They might be some pussies, I guess. But like, that's the best possible route you can go as a man is start your own business because if you don't, you will always stay in survival mode. And I know a lot of people are like, well, yeah, corporate America, this, and that. Do you know how many people are getting laid off? Do you know how many people who are in high positions right now that literally lost their job because AI is taking it over or because they somehow got furloughed because the company went under because they weren't in control of the company? They were just a cog in the machine. And then they complain. Think about this is the worst possible thing to think about. If you like corporate America, you're telling me that you like seeing a plus sign in your bank account twice a week, sometimes once a month, and
Hmm.
a shit ton of negatives every day. That makes you happy. That's what you like. You like to be controlled. You like to have a slower pace in life because when you're an entrepreneur, you don't work on a 30-day schedule. You don't work on a 14-day schedule. You work on a day-to-day schedule. You either make money today or you didn't. You lost today if you didn't make any money. I've
Yeah.
lost many days because there were days I didn't make money. I've won days too. But I
Right.
look at my life like as a man, you should be going through the entire pantheon of emotions every fucking day. You should be living 10 years of life every day.
Hmm.
Every single day. The best way to do that shit is to go on your own.
Hmm.
And that I think that is the answer, because once you get into entrepreneurship, you get better at it. You now have some breathing room. You're not in survival mode. Because here's the thing, when you learn a skill, you stop being in survival mode.
Mhm.
Because you know I can generate the money. Even if I don't, I'll see, I will never call an entrepreneur, even if he's on his last dollar broke.
Can't be.
No, that's just a period of time.
All right.
I
Mhm.
can't, because they can generate unlimited amounts of money if they really want to, or if they figure some shit out.
I'm dropping
But
the bomb.
someone who has no value and no skills and no container to apply those skills infinitely, if they have negative dollars in their bank account or they're at zero, I can legitimately call them broke.
I wouldn't even call them broke. You're poor.
There you go.
You're poor. You ain't got no skill.
Yeah.
You got shit going for you.
Hmm. What? Anyway, we're gonna skip that.
No, it's all good. But yeah, it's facts, right? It's a real thing. Business is one of those things that castrates you quickly if you don't get your shit together.
Yeah.
Very quickly, right? And once you start to learn some lessons and you start to really understand how you're operating and what to do in scenarios to get money, you'll
Hmm.
never be without money, right? The
Hmm.
best skill to learn in business is selling. I
Yeah.
can sell anything. It's the
It's the
same
best
framework
skill
for
in life.
everything, right? It goes into every part of your life. So you need to learn how to sell first of all. If you're going to be into entrepreneurship, you need to learn how to sell. That's what you have to do. There's nothing that you can come up against that you'll feel stumped about. Women,
Mhm.
sell yourself, right? Getting
You sell
clients,
yourself with
selling
everything.
yourself.
Yep.
You're selling every second of the day, whether you realize it or not. And so, even at your 9 to 5, if you still have a 9 to 5, you're
You're
selling
selling
yourself
yourself
to
every
your
day.
boss. Every year, you have that little quarter meeting, that whatever, and you have to sell yourself by working for the company.
And it's
So,
survival mode because you never know when the fuck you're gonna get laid off.
right, you don't
So
control the money that comes in.
that I've seen so many times where somebody works a corporate job and they get so upset when they miss payroll for that period, that pay period. They're like, "Fuck, I can't pay my bills." It's like, if you're an entrepreneur, you already know, shit, okay, I have this bill coming up. I need one client.
Mhm.
Or
Right.
I need something. Like I need to make this one thing that's going to generate me money. You stress, but it's a good, I'm starting to realize it's a very good stress
Yeah.
versus when you're reliant on somebody else
Mhm.
to give you money in a period of time, you're
Mhm.
fucked. Like
Mhm.
entrepreneurship is almost like you're reliant on people to give you money, but the amount of people that you have to choose from to give you money, it's abundance mindset by
Endless.
definition.
Right.
Versus when you look at the corporate world, it's like full scarcity mindset by definition. It's like, fuck, I need this paycheck to hit because I have these bills that I've programmed because of this pay period. So they've already programmed you to be on a schedule.
Yeah.
They've already put the golden handcuffs on you if you're successful in the corporate ladder. I know because my
Mhm.
uncle used to be very successful in the corporate ladder. And he told me straight up, he's like, Martel, dude, don't ever fucking go this route. Because they will put you in golden handcuffs. You'll feel like everything is great. They'll literally slowly kill you. It'll feel like you're slowly dying by injection.
Mhm.
And they're feeding you the best type of food while you're dying.
Yeah.
And soon you get to a point where you're just dead. So
Yeah.
you either go the entrepreneur route and feel like you're dying first, and then you finally make that shit, or
Mhm.
you just die a slow death of corporate.
Right. You got to be very decisive because it just be binary about it. Like, pick. What are you gonna do? You're gonna be black. You're gonna be the black sheep that does entrepreneurship, or you're gonna be a corporate life. Both are fine. You just need to decide.
I don't know how being an entrepreneur is considered the black sheep at this point because throughout
It's the
all of
only way.
time, that's been life. Like, okay, even if we look at this as earlier times of cavemen, they were still entrepreneurs. They were trading shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, this whole job, you guys realize this whole 9 to 5 job thing was created to tame you
Mhm.
and make sure that you don't think beyond what the fuck it is that you exist in.
Mhm.
Like all of it. You're so
Yeah.
focused on this job that, I mean, the value you provide is very minuscule. You're not really doing much. You think you are.
Mhm.
You're so focused on making sure you get the paycheck because you've had all this lifestyle change because you started to make this money
Mhm.
to the point where when you can think of the bigger things in life to solve, you won't be able to.
Right.
You can't think of the bigger things. You can only think of the small little shit that goes on.
Yeah. I, bro, 9 to 5. I don't know how people survive.
To be honest, sometimes it's hard to talk to people who are at 9 to 5s, not because I don't want to understand where they're coming from, but the problems that they have you noticed, like the problems that these people actually talk about are complete bullshit. It's like little shit.
They're minuscule. Hmm.
It's like, fuck, I
Hmm.
have to throw the trash out. I forgot to throw the trash out today. Like, bro, that's your biggest
That's
fucking
your
concern
problem.
today.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. It's light. It's light. Even new entrepreneurs, when they come from the 9 to 5 in, bro, someone, I think we were talking about this earlier from one of my students.
Mhm.
Oh, somebody didn't pay me. Yeah. And
That
like
happens.
it happens. Like it is a part of the game. You know that, right? Like I don't to get to where you're looking to go in business and within your own self mastery, you have to leave your 9 to 5. Because think
Right.
about it, they're taking 8 hours of your life and conditioning you to continue to believe in your comforts, believe in your dopamine rushes, because what, the weekend are the times that you get to relax? Huh?
Oh, that's the worst. The fucking weekend
The
enjoyers,
weekends?
bro.
You're right, bro. Like
I don't have there's no such concept of the
as a
weekend for
weekend.
me at least. Every day is the fucking same. This whole weekend thing, and if you even think about it, it's like weekend. It's like the weekend part of you at the end of the week. Like it's just to make you okay, I gotta relax, I gotta just do X, Y, and Z. It's like, bro, come on. Like, no. And it's like, yeah, this guy said I need to get a 9 to 5 for a little while. Of course. But here's the difference. You can get a 9 to 5 as a strategic launch pad to
Play.
do what it is that you want. What the
Mhm.
fuck are you doing from 5 to 9 though?
Fucking off, probably.
That's the difference. I'm not
Mhm.
shitting on people who have 9 to 5s who actually
Not
are
at all.
dreaming bigger. You could say I'm shitting on people who don't want to think bigger because it's scary. There's a difference. I respect bartenders. I respect people who wash dishes. I respect housekeeping. All that shit is great if you're using it for a purpose.
For a play.
Yes. Fund your
I've
next steps.
right.
Great.
I've been there too, bro. I left a
Same.
9 to 5. We both left a 9 to 5. We both come from a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I want to stack 8K then quit. Sure, that's a fine plan. You do what
That's
you
a
do
great play.
as long as you stick to the fucking plan. That's the thing. It's easy to stick to the plan when shit going right. Can you
Mhm.
stick to the plan when your life starts to get dark? Right? I tell students all the time, do not start to tally up the good marks on yourself like, oh yeah, I'm following my plan when life's good.
Mhm.
No. When life starts to get dark, when you're exhausted, when some shit breaks down in your life, when you have family matters that issue, your health starts to diminish. Start to see if you follow that plan. And only then do you tally those good marks as yes, I followed the plan.
I've
So
con
go ahead.
I've conditioned my mind now, which I hope a lot of people do, where it's like when life is going good, I get stressed the fuck out.
Yep.
Because I'm like, there has to be a drop. There has to be a drop. Shit's going too well right now.
As a bartender who works 9 to 5, uh, I understand.
Start that shit today.
Right. Like you should be doing that when you get off of work.
Bro, get the
Right.
AI, get Sora, get
Yeah.
Google VO and start playing around with that shit. That's most people's problems is they have plans and there's ways that you can start with very, very little amounts of money. I'm gonna tell you guys this straight up. There maybe is my tech company was the only thing I had to put my own money into. Everything else has been zero. It
Mhm.
started out at zero. I didn't have to put shit in. And you don't have to either. Took me 15 years of construction experience to feel confident enough to start my own business at 30. When my boss retired, been making better money ever since my on my own schedule. That's
Yeah.
exactly what they don't want you to do.
Right.
See, Montana, now you got time to think, bro. You
Right.
got a lot of time to think and you become dangerous to society.
Right.
You now have time to think about COVID. You have time to think about this is some bullshit. When you're at a
Right.
job, bro, you don't have time. Fuck, they told me to take the vaccine. I need my check next week. I gotta do
I
this
gotta
shit.
take
Can't
it.
think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. When it's yeah. You took 15 years and finally understood what you know you should have did from a while ago. And now that you fully see it, I bet you never go back. I
You
bet you
can't.
never go back.
Can't.
The truth is revealed to you. You can't go back to that lie. Get your using the job to acquire the money. It helps
Yep.
me and quick
Boom.
supply. All right, that's it. You start somewhere. There's always a starting point, and the
We are
starting
not.
point,
Keep going. Keep
bro,
going.
the starting point is usually fueled with your 9 to 5, and that is 100% fine, bro. When I was making my content agency, when I was at Coca Cola, I was using that money to buy the things I needed in terms of camera and all that stuff to set up and learn contracts and the software needed to all of that stuff, right? But very fucking simple. And
And
so kudos to you, bro.
yeah, and my whole point is we're not these gurus that are here telling you quit your job right now and go all in.
Mm-mm.
We both
Hell
came
no.
from actual real world shit. We didn't just fucking spawn money online at 19.
No.
So we
Nope.
don't know what life is. It's like we get it. Go, you have a job, work the job, think of a plan. I'll give you guys even a story for me. My tech company, even before I was doing it, I was at a tech sales job.
Yeah.
This big multinational company. At the time they were smaller. Now they're big. And I remember my goal was to save at least half of my paycheck every single time. I
Yeah.
came out of that job with $40,000
Hmm.
in a year. And I put that shit towards what it was that I wanted to do. I gave myself a $40,000 runway for a year. Now, did that plan work out the way that I thought it did? No, I blew that shit way faster than I thought. But
Yeah.
the whole point is during that job, everybody else was partying. All the sales reps were fucking spending all of their money, maxing out their credit cards. They're like, well, I'm gonna go make more money next month, etc. There was no vision for where they wanted to go.
Yeah.
For me, every single day, even at my job, sitting down, doing cold calls, getting on calls with people, etc. I was working on the business at the job. I
Hmm.
was pitching the business to my company at that job.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to get to that point where even if you're working the job, you're still like it's like an restlessness. Like I cannot be here any longer. How
Hmm.
long does it take for me to get this shit going so I can get the fuck out? How much money do I have to save? Okay, now I got to save more than 60% of my paycheck. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you have to do it.
Yeah.
Most people they will never get to that point. They will always dream about a business. They'll always dream about freedom. They'll get mad when they see Brett Scales crashing fucking Lamborghinis everywhere and shit at 19 and never do some shit about their life.
Yeah. And bro, some folk would do better off at a 9 to 5, bro.
I think so.
Some folk do better off at a 9 to 5. You do better at being told what to do. I don't
Yeah.
believe, right? The statements that we said about earlier, how entrepreneurship is the best way. Yes.
Mhm.
Is it the only way that you
Mhm.
should be operating or thinking? No. Some of you do better at a 9 to 5 because
Mhm.
the freedom that you look for requires an immense amount of discipline
And sacrifice, yep.
and sacrifice. So, like, don't think, oh, even when you get to your plan and, oh, I'm going to do what I have to do to get out, and then you get out, now you get what abundance of time that now you have to figure out, and your life starts to crumble because you no longer have the structure that the 9 to 5 gave you in your life. And it
That shit is
exposes you
brutal.
to the fact that you're not as strong as you think you are at that as you were when you were at that 9 to 5. So some of you are better off actually thinking about staying at the 9 to 5 and building up a side of it and being what do they call it? An entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah,
Stay in
yeah.
your 9 to 5 while also running another business parallel as you continue to go and go and go and go and go. Your life will be perfectly fine. Do not become an entrepreneur if you're not prepared to be disciplined because freedom is discipline.
Yeah, that's actually when you get the freedom.
Right.
I remember when I had finally quit and the next day happened, I was the most stressed in my life because I was like, yeah, I have this time, but what the fuck do I do with it? Like,
Right.
what am I supposed to do at this hour? What am I supposed I'm not checking in with anybody. Like what so I fucked off for like a week. I was like, oh, this is great. Then I was like, wait, 5K is gone, 35K left. What the fuck are you doing?
Happened.
Boom. And then you have to just, but some people can't snap out of it. They get into it and they're like, fuck, all right, I'm at zero. I got to go back to another job. And it's the same cycle over and over and over and over and over again.
Right. Right. You
Crazy.
gotta you gotta get real disciplined with that abundance that you get, right? And it's the same thing we talk about all the time. Structure is what contains the abundance. Abundance is feminine, structure is masculine. You need the structure to contain the feminine energy of abundance.
Hmm.
Or you will fucking lead your way into chaos. So yeah. Yeah, bro.
Shit, did we cover everything?
For the most part. I think yeah. Hour 24 minutes.
Guys, why are you black? Well, shit, because my mom was black. Your
Black,
mom was black.
right? Like, I don't
I
know.
love it. Boris, are you black? Shit, probably not.
Right.
That
Mhm.
sucks, bro. Your ass will get burnt in the sun, bro.
It's a lovely thing, though. Yeah, they got any? You got any more questions? They got any more questions?
Yeah, you have to work twice as hard though when you're not getting. Yeah, you got to work twice. You got to work for freedom, bro. Like freedom is not free. Like that
At
shit is
all.
just not
At
free.
all. At all. Fuck. It's a
You have to get
cost.
to a point where you just enjoy working. Like you just enjoy the act of working on yourself. Like that's the best thing you can possibly do. Then it doesn't really feel like work as much. Like I
Yeah.
can spend 2 hours on a call with a client. Like I'm not like I'm looking at the time like fuck I gotta go. Like I actually like doing that shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy.
Either way, both paths are hard. You just pick which one. Like with that cliche saying, choose your hard.
Yeah,
Choose,
choose your heart.
choose your hard. It's just they're both hard.
I'm
It's
telling
not
you, it's
none
about
of
to
it's
get
easy.
real hard when there's rations and shit that they're gonna start putting together. These digital IDs coming out. Most of y'all are fucked, bro.
Fucked. For real. You prepare yourself though. That's all you can do. That's all you can
Stack
really do.
money, put that shit in Bitcoin.
And
I
and,
got.
and, and go do whatever the fuck you want to do. Yeah, these questions are foolish, but
Yeah, I'm about done.
yeah, same on my so we can chat off of this, bro.
Yep, this was
Solid.
good.
Yeah.
All
See
right,
y'all
man.
next week.
Yep. See ya.
Next week Wednesday. Holla.